As more and more Pokemon have been created for each new generation of games, many fans believe that the designers of Pokemon have become too comfy. The designs of Pokemon have become wishy-washy compared to the first 3 generations where almost all Pokemon designs were hits. It's as if Game Freak has lost their clef key to success, as if they have lost their hone edge, because many of the newer Pokemon are trubbish. For instance, what is Milcery? Milcery looks like it came out of the udder of a milk tank. Badly designed Pokemon are not exclusive to the newer generations. One of the most nonsensical Pokemon was in the original 151. Enter Exeggcute. Looking at the original Exeggcute card from the original Jungle set, you see that it's an egg Pokemon. A length of 1 foot 4 inches? Is that what that means? And it weighs 6 pounds. It has a psychic attack in the first set, for hypnosis, and it is also a grass Pokemon. Weakness is fire. Often mistaken for eggs, when disturbed, they quickly gather and attack in swarms. Number 102 of the original 151 Pokemon. And then on the gym leader ones, they had an Erica's Exeggcute, Explosion, okay, a Psychic, which is another Psychic move. So this was like a dual type Pokemon back in the day, even. Don't have no description for it though. Pretty much the same. Out of these 2 cards, Exeggcute, and it has Hypnosis as an attack and Ram as an attack. Grass Pokemon. The weight has actually changed compared to the original, because the original says 6 pounds and this one says, it's a little harder to read, 5.5 pounds. And in the description on this newer one, it says, its 6 eggs use telepathy to communicate among themselves. It is believed to carry plant genes and the genes of other species. Okay, so that's odd. And then there's a Psychic one also from 2019. The same year as the last one. Has Leech Seed as an attack. 6 of them form a single Pokemon. Should one of the 6 be lost, the next morning there will once more be 6. So if something happens to one of the Exeggcute eggs, one will just appear. So where do the Exeggcute eggs come from if one were to take one? And this Exeggcute card is also from 2019. Or I think the first one was from 2017 and the new ones I was showing. Okay, Exeggcute. Bullet Seed. Flip 4 coins. This attack does 10 damage for each heads. Okay, this one's another one. It's basically the same thing as the last one. And then this one's from 2020. Exeggcute and Seed Bomb. There's always 6 of them. There's always one that has its head cracked in enough that you actually see the yolk, even from the beginning. You see there's that one that shows the yolk. There's always one like that. Same description for that one. And then I think this is the newest from 2022. And they're all sitting peacefully in a circle. It looks like when they draw them, there is one that is not cracked, and that's this one right here in this picture. And then in this one, this is the one that's not cracked. Well, this one, well, it has a crack on the bottom. But it appears in all of the Exeggcute ones, there's always one that has its head cracked in and part of the shell missing, and then there's one that isn't cracked at all. And usually, well, it looks like usually the way they draw them, at least one isn't facing the, you can't see their eyes. One of their eyes, you won't be able to see the way it's facing. But on this last one, you know, weakness is fire. Like a typical grass Pokemon. Though it may look like it's just a bunch of eggs, it's a proper Pokemon. Exeggcute communicate with others of its kind via telepathy, apparently. So that's probably why it's considered a psychic Pokemon sometimes, because it can use telepathy to talk amongst other Exeggcute. But why are eggs grass? I know this card, in the description it says it is believed to carry plant genes and the genes of other species. I think the key to its evolution becoming Exeggcutor is this little part right here. It says it is believed to carry plant genes and the genes of other species. Hence why Exeggcute, the egg Pokemon, evolves into Exeggcutor, which I think is the dumbest of the evolutions, because it goes from an egg Pokemon to a coconut Pokemon. I'm pretty sure if you plant an egg in the ground, a coconut tree doesn't grow. My question about Exeggcutor is, why is there... Well, first of all, why does an egg Pokemon become a coconut Pokemon? That doesn't make any sense. And it still has an attack called Big Explosion, which doesn't make any sense because they're not eggs anymore. Technically, if it's a coconut Pokemon and it's supposed to be a coconut tree looking thing, shouldn't its heads be considered a coconut? So it should be called a Big Coconut Explosion instead of Big Egg Explosion for its attack. Also, let's see, what is its description? Legend has it that on rare occasions, one of its heads will drop off and continue on as an Exeggcute, which doesn't make any sense, because if it's a coconut, it's supposed to be a coconut tree Pokemon, and its head are basically the coconut. If it fell off of the Exeggcutor, why would it become an Exeggcute? Because it's supposed to be a coconut, not an egg. And then another thing that doesn't make any sense, have you ever seen a Exeggcutor with only two heads? If it's on rare occasions, one of its heads will drop off and continue on as an Exeggcute. Is that in the game? Are there two-headed Exeggcutors somewhere in there? I don't know. I don't play it. Comment in below if you've ever seen a two-headed Exeggcutor. And then here's Erica's Exeggcutor, one of the original cards for it, and it has psychic attacks too. And here's a newer, from 2022, card of Exeggcutor. It has Mega Drain as an attack, Seed Bomb, pretty good attacks, looks like. I don't know, I really don't play it, so I'm assuming it's a good attack, 130 damage. But it said, on its description it says, each of Exeggcutor's 3 heads is thinking different thoughts. The 3 don't seem to be very interested in one another. Which is, they're thinking different thoughts. I mean, though, Exeggcute, one of those cards said that they could telepathically communicate with one another. But like I'm saying, it just doesn't make any sense that Exeggcute becomes Exeggcutor. Like, why would 6 eggs become a coconut tree with 3 heads? That doesn't make any sense. If anything, if they wanted to make this a little bit logical, when an Exeggcute evolves, it would become 2 Exeggcutors. I'm adding protein to my Exeggcute, which is funny because in an egg, there's 12% of your daily value of protein. So in an Exeggcute, there would be 72% of your daily value of protein in one Exeggcute. This is footage from Pokemon Leaf Green, and this is right after I caught my Exeggcute in the Safari Zone on level 25. And starting off, Exeggcute has 2 psychic attacks and 2 grass attacks: Reflect, Leech Seed, Confusion, and Stun Spore. So it has some pretty good attacks to start off with. Because one can confuse the opponent, one can paralyze them. Do you hear that? That's the cry of an Exeggcute. There it is again. Have you ever went to the store and heard eggs make that sound? Have you ever opened your refrigerator and hear your eggs make the sound? Never in my life have I heard eggs make a cry. And in leaf green, when you're battling, you don't even see all 6 Exeggcute. They only show 4 of the eggs of Exeggcute, which I think is interesting. Why couldn't they animated the other 2? It's not like they have to move. They're just static images, basically. You might be wondering, how can 6 eggs become confused? But what would really be confusing is if 6 cracked eggs came out of some tall grass and began attacking you. You may laugh at this Venonat for being paralyzed by 6 cracked eggs, but just remember, if you were being attacked by 6 cracked eggs, you'd be paralyzed with fear too, to the point that you could be captured into a tiny Pokeball. How can eggs be poisoned? You may ask, but eggs can poison you. Don't eat rotten eggs. Once they started doing specific regional type Pokemon, they also introduced an Alolan Exeggcutor. But yeah, basically the difference is it has a tail with like a face, a fruit-looking face, and its neck is elongated. That's what the Alolan Exeggcutor looks like. But it's still goofy looking. I mean, it looks goofier than the original Exeggcutor. Therefore, by using logic, you can say that Exeggcute and Exeggcutor are the worst designed evolution of the original 151 Pokemon. Because it just doesn't make any sense that an egg Pokemon would become a coconut Pokemon, and 6 eggs would become a 3-headed coconut tree. It just doesn't make any sense, even with its little descriptions and stuff. But I know it's a game, so it really doesn't matter, but I'm just pointing it out. That Exeggcute is one of the weaker designed Pokemon, and is definitely the weakest designed Pokemon out of the original 150.